Hello and welcome to day 5 of the 7-day money challenge. For those of you that haven't watched day 1 to day 4, please go back and watch those videos and do the exercises before proceeding on to day 5. For those of you that have done the work, well done, pat on the back for turning up, showing up for yourself and taking what might have been uncomfortable action up until now, but you've made the choice and the decision that you want to change your relationship with money. And hopefully the steps that you've taken over the past 4 days are demonstrating that when you break it down into small chunks, small tasks, small activities, that you can actually take the action that's needed, and you're starting to hopefully understand and becoming aware of your mindset of why money means what it means to you, why you spend what you spend. Can you make better choices when it's choosing how to spend your money, and what method are you using to pay for things? Are you using debt, and are you using good debt that's 0%, or are you using higher debt, in which case are you paying that debt off fast in order to not incur the increased interest costs? So today on day 5, it's all about getting clarity on your money goals. Now, each one of us has got a different relationship to money, and each one of us has got different goals and aspirations in life. And this is where we need to become, just like we are aware of what our mindset was, what is our practical aspects, how do we react and deal with money, and what is our psychology, why are we spending money, is it we're seeking security, or is it we're wanting the kind of experiences and the lifestyle? Are we doing it because we're comparing ourselves to others, or are we doing it because you've got a genuine innate desire to retire early, or to have a reduced workload, that you don't want to be working, you want to start your own business, you want to have the kind of time freedom and the aspiration to choose when and for how long you actually work. And all these kind of choices and decisions all become clearer for you when you know what those goals may be. So I'm going to share my kind of personal goal. I had been working throughout my life as a qualified accountant in the financial services, and my aspiration was I wanted to retire at 55, and it was all about putting all my money within pension, superannuation funds, or for those of you not in the UK, 401k pension pots, Roth IRAs and all that kind of stuff. And it was about getting myself as much cash that I could within that pension pot, because at the age of 55 I could retire, in which case then I could actually choose what I wanted to do with my time, that I was no longer having to work for an employer, whether I was a permanent employee or whether I was a contractor. I would have the time freedom to do what and whatever I wanted whenever I wanted to do it. That was my kind of goal. So what I did over the years was I saved a great deal within the kind of pension pots that I had, because I had a number of employers. I had different pots that I was putting money into. And the reality sort of dawned on me probably about the age of 45. If I was going to have to keep on working until I was probably 70 to then be able to retire, because there still wasn't enough money going into those pots, even though I was putting a great deal of money into them. And that is when I started then making decisions. Is this the path for me? And I decided that working for someone else, even though it was decent money in the grand scheme of things, but I didn't feel that I was necessarily being remunerated at the value that I thought I deserved to earn more money. So I went into contracting, and that's when I really supercharged the amount of money that I was able to put into my pension pots, because the kind of tax efficiencies of operating a self-employed business and the amount of money that I was able to put away from a tax efficient perspective, because it wasn't avoidance, it was efficient perspective, I was actually be able to maximize those pots. So for me, my goal was I wanted time freedom, and I wanted to have as much money as I possibly could in my pension pot. So my whole life geared around those, what my goal was, and then the decisions around it went hand in hand to align for me to achieve that goal. Now, I'm 52 years old. I am not retired. I decided to pivot my career, and what I needed to do that pivot was invest in my education. I wanted to spend money training to become a coach and a hypnotherapist, set up an online business, and start impacting people on a day-to-day basis, rather than working for another 3 years for an employer, and even as a contractor, and just putting money into the pension pot thinking in 3 years' time that's me going to retire. So I made that decision because I realised that as much as I would have the time freedom at 55, then I wouldn't necessarily have purpose and meaning, because there's only so much travel you can actually do before you're craving a bit of consistency and stability, for me personally, because that's aligning to my core values. So what does this all mean for you? Based on the kind of choices that I made, I decided to invest money in my education and my growth, because now I know I'm not retiring at 55. I'm probably going to work, I don't know, till 65, 70, but I'm not going to be working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I'm not going to be helping someone else incur profits in their business. I'm going to be incurring profits in my own business, and whether that is because I'm educating myself more, I'm impacting more clients, and I'm now even got this YouTube channel, so it's given me kind of purpose and meaning to actually share my life experiences and the kind of training that I've sort of received. So what we want you to do as part of day 5 is for you to figure out, because some of you might have absolutely clear goals that you're working towards retirement, or for you want to actually have a big holiday, or you want to buy your home, or you want to buy a vehicle, or you want to do a worldwide kind of travel, take a year out and go and travel the world, whatever that may be for you. For others, it might be smaller goals, and this is not judgment. I am coming from a place of kindness and compassion. Each one of us we're on our own journey. And for you, what is the goal? Why do you want the money? Is it to pay the bills and survive through life and try and find some joy and contentment in everything that you do? Is it because you are saving up to give you time freedom, to give you the ability to go and do some more education, for you to pivot your career, or for you to buy a home? Whatever that may be, you know what that ultimate goal is. And for some people, it might be that they no longer want to be in debt. They want to have no money worries or fears, that they know that they've always got some cash that's either in the bank or in an investment pot that they can access at any given time, and that they're not having to be in that constant survival, fight or flight. How can I get more money? What do I need to cut back on? And feeling that kind of sense of pain, suffering and lack and scarcity. You want to get away from that. And for others, it is about having the kind of lifestyle that maybe you've saved and you've gone on small holidays throughout your life, but now you want to go and do the 1 year, go and travel and see the world, and not scrimp and save, and not have to go to the kind of cheaper hotels, that you could stay in more kind of luxurious kind of accommodation. Or for some of you, it might be that you want to go and have lots of experiences each year. And whatever that goal may be, it's about you understanding what your money or finance goals are. Now, within kind of Tony Robbins and the kind of wealth mastery program that I had done, the terminology that Tony used was financial freedom, financial independence, and financial abundance. And for you, those things might mean different things. So if you were to go back into your day two activity where you wrote down all your income and all your expenses, and if you're one of those people that is in the position where you were straight away in an excess, so your income exceeded the spend that you were incurring, I'm hoping that you're using that excess to either fund all the goals and aspirations that you have, that you may have either a bit of knowledge or you're getting some advice and guidance on how to invest that money, because you can either keep the money in a bank account. At the moment you can probably get between 4 and maybe 7 or 8% in different types of bank account, savings account, but you probably can't access it. You're locking it in for a time period. But if you were to invest it in the stock market and sort of have, in the UK, you've got tax efficient investment pots, which is individual savings accounts, ISAs, and there's different kind of types depending on the age and what you're actually wanting to save. But ultimately you could save up to £20,000 per year, and it's tax, it's non-taxable. What I'm trying to say, there is no tax associated, so even if there was interest accumulated on that pot, you would never be paying interest tax on it, unless of course you were taking the money out and exceeded your personal allowance. But I'm starting to get into a little bit more in the kind of accounting and taxation side of your kind of personal finances, and this is about your relationship with money. I'm not wanting to go into the kind of advice space, but within YouTube there's a number of creators that are specializing within the finance space, and they will provide a lot of kind of material in terms of what to invest in if you are a novice, if you've never invested in your life, how to get started, and tips and hints and potentially links, and through their experience what they're actually doing. And there's a number of creators. There's ones that have got either millions of followers and they're making a lot of money, and then they've got ones that have just recently started, or they've recently started YouTube channels, but their kind of pots of cash maybe not as lavish as the kind of bigger YouTubers, but they're giving you insight on what they are doing and putting into practice, and that is all free information. It's not advice, it's information. You still need to do your due diligence, but you need to align to your kind of, what are your fears, what are your stories, what are your blocks, what are your beliefs around money? Because if you are in a scarcity mindset and you're always in fear that you're never going to have enough money, even though your bank balance might actually be showing a large amount of money in it, it's that mindset that needs to change. It's not that you've got lack of money, it's just your blueprint of what you expect to have and what you actually have might not align, and it just generates this kind of fear. It might be the beliefs that you've had growing up, that there was money doesn't grow on trees, and that you have to save, and then even though you've got money saved, you can't then spend that money. Now that is one kind of group of people. A lot of us have probably been in this situation where the money coming in and the money going out just gets you to that zero, and it's about how can we get that from a zero to an excess, and then what do we do with that excess? Because if at the end of the day each month you got to the point where you had £100 extra, you start deciding, what could I do with that £100, that, and how long do I want to save that £100, and how much do I want it to grow? And this is where, if you know what your money goals are, if you want to buy a car and you know that you were going to buy a car in 5 years time, if you start putting that £100 and put it in a bank account and you're earning maybe between 4, as I said, to maybe 8% interest, that will give you a certain amount of cash. Then there is the alternative that you could invest in a tracker fund through an ISA, and maybe you've got the same or more money potentially over a 5-year period. But if you were wanting to save for something in 10 years time, investing in stocks and shares will give you a higher return as a result. There is a risk involved, but at the same time, even in the bank, the money sitting in a bank account, there is a risk. In 2008, there was a number of banks that defaulted and it created the financial crisis. So nothing is 100% safe, but this is about knowing your kind of strong why, what your fears are, and what feels comfortable for you. So understanding your kind of risk appetite and what your goals and aspirations are will help inform what kind of choices and decisions you can make with the excess cash that you may have in order to grow it and create wealth. But what I just want to sort of reiterate, having money sitting in a bank account is not going to make you wealthy. It's just going to give you a cash pot. If you want to amass wealth, it's about investing that money, whether it is through pension funds, through investment stocks and shares, but you go for the kind of lower risk items, or if you're a risk taker, you go and you diversify your kind of portfolio. But there's a lot of content creators on YouTube that can give you some information about investing, about the different things that you can do in order to work out exactly what your kind of sweet spot is for financial abundance. But the starting point is that day 2, your expenses and your income, assessing, can you increase your income, can you reduce your expenditure, can you have more in that excess pot, and then what do you do to create kind of wealth on that. The other alternative, other than watching YouTube content, is you can actually reach out to independent financial advisors, IFAs in the UK, and in the US I think it's fiduciaries, but you want to get one that is actually not linked to a provider. So therefore they're actually truly independent and taking care of you as the client. And another alternative is reaching out to accountancy firms, because they'll have an understanding and knowledge of the kind of tax landscape as well, and be able to provide you the necessary and advice that may be useful for you. But ultimately it'll be you coming back to the choices. It comes back to, what are your beliefs? What is your risk appetite? How much are you wanting to have, to then inform what is the right strategy, what is the right kind of mechanisms that you need to put in place to achieve those goals. Now, the younger you are and the earlier you start saving, in terms of investments, whether it's through pensions or the individual savings accounts, then you've got longer, so you can be more aggressive with your kind of risk kind of tolerance, but at the same time you're going to grow a lot more, so you could have a lot more wealth. But at the same time, it's probably more expensive for you to buy property, and depending on what your aspirations are. But everything starts with understanding, what is your money finance goal. If you want to buy a little truck so you can go around festivals and sell your products and goods, it's about understanding, well, what is the pot that I need to be able to achieve that? And having that as your goal, then you can sort of figure out the strategies to actually achieve that goal as quick as you possibly can, or within the kind of right time frames, by motivating you to take on the second side hustle, generating more money, cutting back on your expenses, creating the right kind of strategies for you to achieve your goals. So there is a fair bit of information in here that's using the exercises that you've done on day 1 about your kind of fear stories and blocks, and day 2 about your expenses and your income, day 3 about why. What is your why when it comes to money? What does money mean to you? And then on day 4, the kind of practical aspects of how can we reduce the expenditure, how can we increase the income to then create that sweet spot where you've got excess cash, and then you've got choices of what you do with that excess cash. And today on day 5, it's about bringing all those things together and figuring out what is that kind of sweet spot for you. What are you wanting? What are you saving for, if you're saving? If you're not in a just pay everything off, what are you aspiring for? What goals do you want to set? So a lot of content on YouTube. There's a lot of firms out there. You can do Google searches. You can ask friends and family who know tax advisors or IFAs, and they can provide you within your kind of local area who can actually support you on that journey. Now, being a qualified accountant and having done a lot of stuff myself, I'm not offering advice from an accountant's perspective. I'm offering this advice from a coach perspective who has got a finance background. Now, if any of you that are watching these videos want to brainstorm, want someone to sort of like help steer them, guide them in the direction of what choices you want to make, I'm going to offer my kind of services on the description below. There'll be a Calendly link where you can click on if you so desire and want to, and you can book a 50-minute slot with me where I can help you brainstorm the ultimate goals for you and help you map out what your strategy is going to be to achieve it. And some instances you just need someone that can actually understand where you're coming from and actually guide you on the way. So if any of you are interested in that, click on the link below. It'll link you to WorldPay, and that's the way you can actually make the payment. And if not, hopefully you're doing all these exercises as we're going along, and you'll get the free content on YouTube and you'll figure it out yourself. So this isn't you've got to get in touch with Tanya. Absolutely not. I want you to do it on your own. But for those of you that feel that having a bit of guidance and support from a coaching perspective, I would love to be able to be that support for you if you so desire. Okay, so go out and seize the day. Look at the work that you've done on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and now do the day 5. And this is us now finished the house. We've actually got our 4 walls up. And what's left to do is build our roof. And that's what we're going to do on day 6 and day 7. So go out and seize the day, choose wisely, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.